Hello. Yes, this is another of my talking head videos. I'm just tired. I hurt my wrist. I have tendonitis in both my wrists. I've actually had that for, I'm trying to think, about 25 years. I've had it a long time. So I'm kind of bummed about that because I can't even pick up a coffee cup right now without it hurting like hell. And word of advice, if you're doing repetitive work with your hands and your fingers start to get numb, don't ignore it. Do not ignore it. Something is wrong. I ignored it. I was doing, when I worked at Aetna, we had this is back in the day when there's no way companies would do this anymore, but when I worked at Aetna, we were on production, and if you could get a day's worth of production done, you could go home and still get paid for a whole day. So let's just say that there was a lot of motivation to really, I don't know what I type now, but for a long time I typed like 92 words a minute, which isn't really that fast, but you know, it's faster than average, I think. Anyway, and I also write, or I did. I've been not writing for a while. The point of this video is not about my wrists. It's actually, this is something that I've been thinking about a lot. It's been staring me in the face every morning when I get up. You know, it used to be that I looked old in the morning, and then as the day progressed, the old aspect kind of faded away. The lines didn't seem so stark on my face, and I didn't look so tired as the day progressed after I had some coffee or whatever. Now I don't have, it's not like that so much. Now it's kind of like I have my morning face all day, and it's really depressing. For anybody who's watched my videos, maybe not the serious ones or the ones where I'm bitching to the camera, but some of my funny ones, it's a huge cliche. Huge. You know, I remember hearing it when I was a kid. I remember hearing adults say it and just like, whatever. Huge cliche to say, but it's true. I don't feel old. I don't feel old. You know, it's weird because I just saw a commercial on TV. They were talking about people with addiction to gambling, and the people they showed as their examples look to me like kids, you know, fresh out of high school. I mean, that's what they look like to me, because, you know, this is true too. The older you get, the 20-somethings start to look like high school somethings, and 30-somethings start to look like 20-somethings. It's kind of weird, you know. But it's also weird to think, to realize, holy shit, it's happening to me. It's happening to me. And it isn't, people aren't exaggerating. They're not making it up when they say they don't feel any older, and they're old. They're not kidding. They're not kidding. It's like, okay, I'm not talking about everybody. There's definitely people who are old when they're young. People who never really, people who are old mentally before they're old physically, you know? I prefer the other way around. I hope I'm never old mentally, because I think it sucks. I think the moment you become too serious about life and too serious about yourself, that's when you start to get old. And, you know, I think I'm walking testimony of that, because for the last 10 years, that's been basically what I've been all about. Is I've been so serious about myself, very serious about fitting in, making friends, being good enough, being liked. Everything, you know, it was all too big of a deal to me. And I think it's also, I mean, of course, everything else has aged me. I am 50 years old. Shit. There comes a point where you have to say, okay, yeah, I guess I'm old now. You know, I look in the mirror and there's an old face staring back at me. I don't like it. It's weird too. It's like, in some respects, I do feel like an older person. But in other respects, I don't really feel any different, except physically, of course. My knee bothers me when I run. I mean, it sucks. It really does. There's a saying that says that age is not for the timid, I believe. It's true. It's really true. And it's depressing sometimes. Because it seems like just a blink ago. And I wasn't old. It was just a blink ago. I wasn't old. I mean, shoot, just 10 years ago, I went spelunking in New Zealand. I learned how to rappel. I rappelled down I'm very proud of this fact, actually. Rappelled down the highest commercial rappel there is in the whole world at the Waitomo Caves in New Zealand. It was cool. It was so cool. And that same trip, I skydived from 15,000 feet. That was pretty cool. I was 40 years old. You know, and that was 10 years ago. I know I could go skydiving again. I don't know if I could do the rappel thing, because what I found out about halfway down was it's very hard on your lower back. If you have back problems, it's kind of hard on your back to rappel. And I don't think that that's actually the right word for it, but that's the word I know, so that's what I'm saying. This video is not about religion, believe it or not. It's just about change. And I guess my best advice to people, now that I'm in the middle of the fun adventure of becoming decrepit, it's just a blink away. It's just a blink away. You know, our society, it wasn't even that long ago when I was on the other side of the fence and I was looking at old people and I was impatient with them. And you know what's funny is when about 20 years ago, when I first started writing on the internet and I started socializing with people, I had friends that I was writing to that I thought were my age. One of them was Damon Knight, who was a famous writer, but I had never heard of him. And I imagine with a name like Damon Knight, I imagine this dark, hot-looking guy, you know, and really cool guy, and phenomenal writer. And this was actually back in the days when they had Genie, which probably most people watching this video won't know what Genie is, but it's before, it was back in the days of DOS. And anyway, I got to writing back and forth with Damon Knight. And then one day I saw a picture of him, and he was an old guy. I mean, he was an old guy. I don't remember how old he was, but he was up there, you know? It's so funny. And there was another lady that I got to know through a writing class online. Again, I pictured her as my age, and she turned out to be like 60-some years old, and it was just a shock. But you know what it told me, and now that I'm rapidly becoming one of the old people, the internet is a good clue of how people are really made up inside. You know, if you can't see who you're talking to on the internet. You can't see who's IMing you, you know, or writing back. You can't see. So you're going to imagine how they are based on how they write and how they think and stuff, you know. And you don't see the old person. You see just a person. You see a person. And it's always a shock then when you find out that they're old, because you've got all these preconceived perceptions or whatever of how old people are. And then you find out this really cool person you've been writing to on the internet is old. It's like, oh, holy shit, you know? I guess what I'm trying to say is old people are still people, and really not much different from younger people. it's about it, you know. And the sad thing is, it's sad, and it's kind of, I think life would be boring if you were always the same. If everything was always the same, it would be boring. And yeah, I would love to be 30. The 30s were good for me. My 40s were a nightmare. I'm really amazed that I'm still here, honestly. But my 30s, that was good. My 30s were good. That was during the best part of my marriage, and it was a good time. I wouldn't mind going back and being in my 30s again, but I wouldn't want to be there forever, because there's different aspects to every decade that you live. There's different aspects, and you get to play different parts. You know, get to try out wear different hats and stuff. And I like some aspects of being older. I don't like other things. I don't like the fact that there's people where I work that I think are really cool. You know, I like them, but they're like 20 years younger than me, and I don't get invited out to lunch by these people. I don't fit in. So just little things like that. It's kind of hard. But I think that's also partly to do with society and the way people have the whole worshiping youth thing, you know. I guess that's why I'm making this video. I just want to gently remind younger people, which I just a blink ago was one of you, and now I'm not, and it'll happen to you just the same. You think I'm kidding, but I'm seriously not kidding. It'll feel like a blink, and you're going to be going, holy shit, where did all the time go? Just try to see past the wrinkles, and try to see past the reedy voice and the, you know, the wavery walk, or the whatever, and just look into the eyes of the person and see that in those eyes is a person just like you. Even old people have hopes and dreams and ambitions, and they like all the same things that you like. They like to laugh, they like a good joke. They're the same. We're a little bit, I know I have a hard time seeing sometimes now that I have to wear bifocal contacts, you know, and it's kind of a pain in the ass not being able to read just anytime I want to. It's hard to get older, but we all have to go there. We all have, I mean, the lucky ones get to go there. Some people never get to go there. And, you know, I think as long as you're having fun, no matter what age you are, life is good. And honestly, I think that people that bring you down or don't lift you up or whatever, they're not worth your time. They're not worth it. If all they do is drag you down and make you feel bad or feel like you can't measure up, fuck them. You know, just fuck them. Life is too short, and I intend to live it as long as I can live it. And no piece of shit is going to make me exit this world until I'm ready to exit this world. No worthless piece of shit deserves that, is worth that, you know? So yeah, I guess aging has its problems. It's definitely not my favorite thing, but at the same time, I love my life. I love living. I love exploring. You know, if it's not for if it wasn't for the shits in the world, you wouldn't grow. You wouldn't have challenges. You wouldn't have to discover new things about yourself. I would probably be still stuck in Christianity if it wasn't for the shits that I've run into. You know, people who taught me that that appearances aren't always what they seem. People who taught me to mistrust. And I've learned. And I guess that's partly why I like to do the YouTube videos, because I like to think that maybe some of what I've learned I could pass on, like especially having to deal with depression. You know, depression's a hard thing, and it's going to become more and more and more predominant in our society because we're becoming so many. There's so many of us. We're getting lost, and we're losing the ability to communicate with each other because of our wonderful smartphones and everything. It's like, God, no, who knows how to communicate, actually talk to somebody face to face anymore. So yeah, and it's even going to be harder for older people, you know, because I think a lot of times when you're older, you tend to be, you end up alone. You end up isolated. You don't want to go out and hang out bars. You know, you don't want to be around a bunch of losers at bars. And you don't want to be treated like shit, which is what happens if you hang out at bars. I don't know. I think this video is one of those that just kind of goes, you know, it's like, they call this stream of conscience. You know, you just talk and whatever comes out of your mouth. But I guess before this gets to be a really long video, I just wrapping it up. It's one of those nights I feel like making a video, but I don't really know what to say kind of things. Just, you know, try to see a person when you look at somebody who's older. Try to imagine them when they're young, when they were young, because that's exactly what they are inside. You're seeing the exterior that's been beaten down by gravity and too much sun and too much depression and too much alcohol or too much whatever it is that they put in their bodies when they were going through difficulty. But inside, there's still a beating heart. There's still that fire inside that wants to love and be loved and wants to see a beautiful sunset and wants to climb a mountain and wants to explore and wish for things and accomplish things and dream. All that is still there. I don't think any of us, I don't care how old we get, outgrow that. That's always going to be there. And if it's not there, that's when the person might as well be dead. That's when they're really old. When the ambition's gone, there's no more dreams, there's no more desire, there's no more love of life. That's when, you know, that's when you're old. And hopefully I'll never be that way. I joke about being old. I joke about the fact that I'm older, but I don't ever want to be old. You know? So, that's it. One of those pointless, meaningless videos that I'm famous for. Actually, I'm not really famous, but it sounded good in a sentence. So, thanks for watching if you have. Bye.